Hi guys, I'll be going to be your teacher as well as your tour guide for today's travel to the place of varied topography, great natural beauty and cultural diversity. The one and only, yes you're right, South Africa. Not only that, we specifically went to its well-known and high-class architectural design, which is the Bosjes Chapel. I know that you're all curious about it, so we better start this trip, but before that, let me introduce myself first and you should introduce yourself too. My name is Hans Go, I'm 27 years old and I'm from Kung Thep, Thailand.
I'm Carlos Miguel G. Bulagner. I'm 18 years old. I live in La Huerta, Parañaque City.
My name is Christian Fredrickson from Lebanese and I'm 17 years old and I live in St. Street, San Agustin Village, Munok, Parañaque City.
I'm Mark Gabriel de la Ganyoso. I'm 17 years old. I live in Las Piñas City.
Hello everyone, I'm Marcos Nb Abaya. I'm 17 years old and I live in Sitio Pagkakaisa, Sukat, Muntinlupa City.
I am Andrea Altera, 17 years old, from Las Piñas.
Evan Tokot. I'm 17 years old. I live in Sitio Pagkakaisa, Sukat, Muntinlupa City.
Now that we all know each other, we can now start this fun and exciting trip to Bosjes Chapel of South Africa. Oops, I know that you're all now excited, so we better start this trip.
Bosjes Chapel is located at Bosjes Farm in South Africa's picturesque Witzenberg district. It was started built in the year 2013 and was finished in the year 2016. It has an area of 430 meters squared and was constructed from a slim cast concrete shell. The roof are also made deeps down that almost touches the surface of a pool that surrounds the building. Roof structure are strongly curved shape that has a length of 20 meters, width of 12 meters, and a height of 6 meters. It is decorated with tall cross-shaped frames. It is surrounded by meditative gardens. Its architect was Cowit Z. Stein from Stein Studio, who is an architect with a talent for developing good solutions in contextually sensitive areas. The architects drew inspiration in building this from the biblical passage. It was declared to be the modern architectural landmark for South Africa. It is declared as one of the 5 buildings to take home the title of 2019 Award Project of the Year. These are the awards that it receives. First is 2019 edition of Architizer's Premier A+ Awards program. Next is world's largest initiative of its kind for architecture and building products. Lastly is choice in the religious buildings and memorials activity. Did you know that Bosjes Chapel was designed by South African architect Cowit Z. Stein? Also, it is surrounded by mountain ranges, paying tribute to the historic Cape Dutch, dotting the rural landscapes of the Western Cape. Lastly is that it is known as a lightweight, dynamic structure that appears to float within the valley, which is an effect that emphasizes by an adjacent reflecting pond. Among all the outstanding and conic section-inspired structural building, we had choose Bosjes Chapel because it was really built uniquely, wherein it was inspired not only by the Bible verse but also the history of the country of South Africa. Also, we chose this structural building because it was just simply giving hope to the many people of Africa, since that we commonly know that Africa are facing a huge poverty, poor education, hunger and violence. Through this architectural design, they would have a place to be free from stress and problems. Through the lightweightness, pure and peaceful inspired design. Lastly is that we choose this structural design because it was also inspired by conic sections wherein it is a curve generated by a point which moves so that the ratio of its distance from a fixed line is constant. Through conic sections, the structural design was balanced and formed unity. Through this, it enhances more the beauty of Bosjes Chapel by the use of conic section, which is parabola. The architect were able to showcase the representation of mountain ranges. The parabola is the conic section that can be seen or used in the Bosjes Chapel, since that the chapel's architecture has the vertex on the edge, which is where the parabola's curve changes directions. The significance of this architectural design is the structure's uniqueness, the simplicity of the chapel's design, and the craft's performance.
In mathematics, a conic section is a curve obtained as the intersection of the surface of a cone with a plane. There are three types of conic sections: the hyperbola, the parabola, and the ellipse. The circle of a special case is the ellipse. Through historically, it was something called as a fortnight. Conic sections help us in such many ways, mostly in astronomical and architectural fields. For example, Bosjes Chapel. This chapel is designed by South African-born T.T. Sindh. In this architectural establishment, it's a perfect representation what conic sections might look like in real life. Conic section is not really much used in everyday basis, but it helps us differentiate forms and structures of things that we encountered everywhere. Like the Bosjes Chapel, for example, without knowing we might just see it as a structural establishment with fancy form, but knowing how it was made, it was more fascinating and interesting.
Through this activity, which is about conic sections, a visual presentation of real-world architectural design, I've come to realize a lot of things. I learned that conic sections are used by architects in engineering. It can be seen in varieties of structural designs all over the world, such as in buildings and churches. It makes a structure more unique through its curved and circular cone shape. Lastly, I've realized that through this activity, we're able to present and promote conic sections as well as Bosjes Chapel, which was not that famous. But with this activity, people can appreciate its beauty and contribution.
Now that our topic was said above, it was briefly discussed one by one. The aim of the chapel is also to reflect the following quantities presented these historic missionary churches: the scale, cultural reference, tranquilities of its white lit interiors, the tactileness of its indulating whitewashed walls. It was built not just for one reason, but its designer wants to showcase of how this majestic structure was inspired and how it blended on its surroundings. It was surrounded by two beautiful valleys, and its position was perfectly picturesque. Unlike other churches which are mostly inward-looking and spiritually reflective, the proposed chapel will be a more open space that invites in while also expanding its intimacy to the valley and mountains beyond, raising awareness of God's creation in the immediate surroundings. Churches these days are not just for religious events. They use it to as perfect tourist spot destination for the particular city for them to be known on its beautiful landmark. As we look on this stunning beauty of Bosjes Chapel, it will make you come closer to it. It can inspire a lot more people because of the elegance and perfections of the infrastructures, with the combination of both perfect place to praise God and a perfect place to capture the beautiful surroundings of the chapel. Oh, it's sad to say, but our trip's now over. I know, guys, that you enjoyed our whole trip. So, I'm very thankful. Thank you, guys. Till next time. Babush!